Well, hello and welcome back. This is episode 26 titled The Most Creative Idea in History, a dream of a dream that I'm not sure was a dream. Okay, and my first MRI. When someone asked me what the most creative idea was in history, I replied by stating that Al Capone's concept of paying off cops, lawyers, and city officials had to be one of them. I admit that this idea was certainly not the most noble and beneficial idea for humanity and was definitely criminal, but it was an interesting proposal nonetheless. And I doubt that he was the first person to come up with this idea, realizing the creativity of humanity and the fact that crime was nothing new in the 1920s and 30s. No doubt that cops and officials in power were bought and paid for thousands of years ago, which proves the axiom that there is nothing new in this world except the history you do not know. And there's probably almost nothing stranger than waking up from a dream of a past dream from several years ago that you're not sure was a dream. I know this sounds quite bizarre, and I do seem to discuss my dreams too often, but I do find them fascinating. I'm still reconciling this dream, which happened just a couple of hours ago on the day that I wrote this earlier in the year. And I'm fairly certain that the dream of the dream was an actual dream and not real. But what concerns me more is not whether it was real or was a dream, but rather why I would revisit this scenario. It's disturbing to re examine a bizarre dream with another dream of this dream, and naturally it has to do with a past relationship that was unrequited. But no more of this dream, please, and I will not speak about dreams anymore, I promise. So earlier in the year, I experienced my first MRI, and naturally I have to throw in my feeble wisecracks. So when the technicians informed me of the procedure and what to expect and let me know that it would take approximately half an hour, I told them that it shouldn't take as long as they claim. I'm not very bright, there's not much up there, so this should go quickly. And then when the MRI was completed, they asked me how it went, and I responded with, and I thought my wife was annoying. Not a day goes by lately that whenever I see a documentary on jazz or swing music from the 20th century featuring Duke Ellington, Charlie Parker, Louis Armstrong, Dizzy Gillespie, John Coltrane, Art Blakey, Roy Eldridge, Benny Carter, and so on and so forth, just to name a few, I ask myself this question: how did I miss this, and how did this miraculous ethereal art form pass me by? I realized that I was too young, but I regret that I let so much of this pass me by. When seeing and hearing what these musicians created, I'm left spellbound and become absorbed with their masterpieces and feel somehow lonely and left behind. And I know it sounds trite, but what they accomplished was so incredible and unique. I would have easily devoted my life to the solitary confinement of music and not done anything else. It should have been my calling card, and I still suffer through these periods of desolation when I see and listen to these specials on PBS. Don't misunderstand me. I love these documentaries with all my heart and soul, but I become forlorn when I realize that I wasn't a part of it. And this is observations from viewing Jazz Dedicated to Chaos 1940 to 1945, directed by Ken Burns on February 20th of 2021. And if someone asks me what the saddest song is, and by sad I mean the type of song that could make your eyes well up in tears and feel the pain of lost love or create an atmosphere of sorrow and desolation, this song is I Can't Make You Love Me by Bonnie Raitt. The lyrics and the melody pierce your soul and escort you to such a deep well of dejection that it ironically eases one's gloom through poignant identification. Raitt hits all the right buttons in the song with her voice, emotion, and measured rhythm with its full notes and slow tempo. Quite simply, it is the best sad song ever written and performed, both despondent and completely relatable at the same time. Everyone loves a sad, Everyone loves a sad song, and this song has certainly accomplished this. The song is thoroughly identifiable, and I'm quite sure that I'm not the only one who knows this, especially if you're a Bonnie Raitt fan. I would recite the lyrics, but copyright laws prohibit this, though there will be some information I plan to pursue allowing for certain copyright restrictions, but we will see over time. And while dining with my 93-year-old Uncle Bob, I could call this my lunch with Uncle Bob, as we try to get together every few weeks, and at 93, he is still incredibly sharp and seems to maintain a substantial memory. So it's almost like you're sitting with somebody 30 to 40 years younger. And with his quick wit, warmth, and spontaneity, the lunches are a delight. Uncle Bob was the principal at Wilbercross High School in New Haven, Connecticut for many years. And for anyone who isn't familiar with this inner city high school, it maintains an extremely diverse population. The school was also considered to be, along with its arch rival Hillhouse High, to be one of the most competitive high school basketball teams in the nation, at least during the time that I can recall from the 1960s through the 1980s. And both schools have produced quite a few NBA players, or a few NBA players, I should say. At this particular lunch, we were discussing something related to the first time my mother met my girlfriend, Mary, who eventually would become my wife. And as I started speaking to Bob, I stated that when Mary met my wife, he quickly stopped me and repeated what I had said, to which I replied, "Thanks for picking that up. My Freudian slip means that I actually prefer Mary to my wife." And of course, I wasn't shedding any light on Uncle Bob. He understood exactly what I meant and picked up on my ruse. Mary the girlfriend is always easier to deal with than Mary the wife. You know how it is. Marriage changes everything, and if by chance Mary could have met my wife, they may not have recognized each other. But in a woman's eyes, this may not be the case. And for eons, humanity suffered from a lack of information and the ability to share and broadcast this information. Now we suffer from the reverse of this problem. Today we're overwhelmed with information, and much of it is not only unnecessary, blatantly wrong and incorrect, but also useless and extraneous. So welcome to the age of misinformation, or as I prefer to call it, the age of bullshit. And I will stop here.